You may have heard some people say you should always roast your spices before you use them to bring out the flavour. Now, hang on, that's not quite true. Roasting spices changes the flavour. So in the way that a piece of bread will taste different to a piece of toast, so an unroasted spice will taste different to a roasted spice. If we're using the spice, say, with seafood, and we want nice delicate flavours that come out, we want the freshness of the fennel seed to come through, we want all the lovely flavours to work beautifully, then we wouldn't roast the spice, because by roasting it, you're going to change the flavour. You want all the light original notes that are in there. But if I'm making a beef curry, for instance, or I'm doing a long slow cooked dish, I may want to create a deeper, richer flavour profile. And in that case, I will roast the spice. Roasting spices simply involves heating a pan, putting the spice in the pan. I generally find it's easier to roast a ground spice. A lot of people will roast whole spices and then grind them, but I find if you roast a ground spice, you can see more easily when it's roasted enough, and it's quicker and easier to do. So you put the ground spice into the pan, stir it around gently. You've got to be very careful that it doesn't burn. That's why you've got to keep it moving. As soon as you see it starting to darken a little and the beautiful aroma coming off, tip it out. It is sufficiently roasted to then go on and use in cooking. You will hear some people say that if your spices are a little bit old, just roast them to bring back the flavour. Now, I'm afraid that if they're old and the flavour is lost, there's no magic place up there in the atmosphere where dry roasting them is going to bring the flavour back that's been lost. So it's a little bit of a myth that dry roasting them will bring the flavour back. But just think of the sort of cooking you're doing. Roasting changes the flavour. It's not a mandatory thing that you have to do with all of your spices. For instance, you would never roast your sweet paprika. It would just spoil the flavour.